My name's Tiffany and I am the Mummy Concierge. Now, if you're a new parent, I pretty much guarantee right now you are freaking out because there's so much to plan for a new baby. So my job as a Mummy Concierge is to help you plan absolutely everything. That could be from what baby kit you want to get, what to pack in your hospital bag, what do you do the second your newborn leaves hospital and comes home. So one of the things that's probably stressing you out is what baby kit do you actually need for a newborn. So on today's video, I'm going to go through important items you need to get for your newborn. If any of you have any questions, then please find me on Instagram. I'm at Mummy Concierge HQ. You can drop me a DM and I will happily answer any questions you have. So if you want recommended brands or anything like that, then drop me a DM and I'll help. One of the first baby essentials that I always say people should get is a sleeping bag. Now, we all know that you've got to be very careful when you put your baby to sleep. You must never put sheets over them or blankets over them. So a sleepy bag really helps remove that stress. The idea is it's a little sleeping bag that you zip them up in, they're nice and cozy and it keeps them warm. Now, what I'm going to recommend to you is that if you are willing to spend a little bit more money, I really suggest that you go for a merino wool sleeping bag. Now, merino wool is an absolutely incredible fabric because what it does is it keeps you cool in the summer and it keeps you warm in the winter. Now, for those of you that might have looked into sleeping bags, you might have seen that sleeping bags quite often have togs. Togs are basically telling you how thick the sleeping bag is and so therefore when you should be wearing it. So you'll have a certain tog for winter time, a certain tog for summertime. And to be honest, when you're a sleep deprived mummy, this can get a little bit overwhelming. So that's where merino wool sleeping bags are really worth it. You literally just need to buy one sleeping bag and it's going to work throughout the whole year. So as I say, when it's hot, it's going to keep your baby cool, and when it's cold outside, it's going to keep them warm. Example of a merino wool sleeping bag. Sleeping bags all look the same. They usually have poppers at the top and then a zip at the bottom. This particular brand is called Super Love Merino. I personally think they're great. This is who I would recommend to my clients, but there are loads and loads of merino wool sleeping bag brands out there, so please just have a look and do your research. But as I say, this one is Super Love Merino and it gets my seal of approval. So this is something I always recommend to new parents because anything that is going to make your life easier is a bonus in my book. Now, I really recommend getting zippered baby grows. Why, you ask? Well, at 2 o'clock in the morning when you are really tired and there has been a massive poo explosion, the last thing you want is to be fiddling about with poppers. An extra tip here actually is to look out for a two-way zippered baby grow. Now, let me show you here. Here is a baby grow. So as you can see, it's got a zip that starts from top to bottom, but also if you look down at the legs, there's another zip here that goes from bottom to top. Now, the great thing about this is if you're changing a nappy in the middle of the night, you don't have to zip it from top to bottom. Your baby gets cold, they're going to wake up, it's going to be a nightmare. You can literally zip it from the bottom to the top, just get their little legs out, change their nappy, and then you're all done. I'm sure a lot of you probably know this, but one of the main ways to get your baby to sleep is to have a great bedtime routine. And you can start doing this from when they are a newborn. So often a bedtime routine basically means bath, story, bed. So when it comes to bath time, how can you prepare bath time so that it's as stress-free as possible so that your baby gets into a nice relaxed state and then they're ready for bed? One of the products I'm going to really recommend for this is a brand called Cuddle Dry. Now, they are a toweling brand which is just genius. It's a hooded towel, so when you take your baby out of the bath, they've got a lovely hood that they can wrap up round in and it keeps them nice and warm. The great thing about Cuddle Dry is that it actually works before you even put your baby in the bath. You tie it around yourself so that the towel covers the front of you. Put your baby in the bath. If there's any splashing when they get a bit older, it protects your clothes. Then you lift your baby out and you can literally wrap it around them. It's that chance to give them a bit of a cuddle after a bath, keep them nice and calm. They're all snuggled up. So I really recommend that you get a hooded towel. I always recommend parents to get a first aid kit. There are lots of them out there, but just so long as they've got the essentials in them, bandages, plasters, scissors, things like that, then that's all you really need to look out for. But the other thing you need to think about is a thermometer. Babies, especially newborns, tend to get quite hot quite quickly. So you're going to want a thermometer just to put your mind at rest, but also check that there's nothing wrong with your baby. There are loads and loads of different thermometers on the market. You can get ones like this that are ear ones that go in like this. You can get digital thermometers. You can get the new ones that you aim at your head and it takes it. Personally, I would recommend you either get one that goes into their ear or one that you aim at their head. So that basically if your baby's feeling a little bit hot in the night, for example, and you want to check their temperature, you can do it very easily without waking them up. Same with the ones that you aim at your head. So another thing that's going to help your baby sleep at night is to make sure that the temperature in the room is the right temperature, which is where I really recommend getting a nightlight / temperature gauge. The brand I recommend is called Grow Egg. Basically a 2-in-1 where it's a little night light, glows a beautiful colour, which is great for if you're doing nighttime nappy changes because it just gives you that little extra bit of light without having to turn your main light on. But it also monitors the temperature in your room, so it'll tell you how hot or how cold the room is. And it does this by basically glowing a different colour. So if your room is too hot, it glows red. It just gives parents that peace of mind that your baby's room is not too hot or too cold. Now, quite often parents say to me, but what happens if the Grow Egg is showing that, you know, it's bright red? What do I do? All that means is just assess what your baby's wearing. So if you put them in a little vest and a baby grow and a sleeping bag and the room temperature is showing up quite hot, then all you need to do is maybe just remove the vest and just put your baby to sleep in the sleepy bag and their baby grow. And there are loads and loads of things out there that you might consider buying for bath time. I really do recommend getting a baby bath. There are some brands that are like little seats, so you just pop them in the bath and then fill them up. You can obviously get mini little bath tubs. So if, for example, you live in a home that doesn't have a bath, you can still use those in the shower. So there are loads and loads of great baby baths. One of the things I will warn you against getting is a baby bath thermometer. Personally, I think this is the one product that's probably a slight waste of money. And the reason I say that is that common sense really does prevail. So if you are running your baby's bath and you want to check the temperature, what I do is I take my elbow and just dip it into the bath. You will easily be able to tell if that bath is too hot for your baby. It's just common sense. So I don't think a bath thermometer is essential. So what I would say is maybe put that extra bit of money into getting a really great baby bath instead. The all-important baby monitor. Now obviously baby monitors are something that I think all new parents desperately want and desperately need. They are absolute lifesavers for when you put your baby down upstairs and you're going downstairs and trying to have a nice grown-up evening, but you can still keep your eye on your little one. Now there are so many baby monitors on the market, literally it can be so overwhelming trying to decide which one is right for you. There are also quite a lot of things to consider with baby monitors. So you can get baby monitors that do a multitude of things. If you are a family who think you might have another child, then definitely look into baby monitors that can have 2 cameras and that then go into split screens. This is just really useful because once you have 2 children, you just have to have one monitor, the screen splits in 2, you can see one baby on one screen, one baby on the other screen, and it just means you don't have to go out and buy another baby monitor when your baby's born. Another thing to think about with baby monitors is if you want one that has an actual picture so that you can watch your baby while they're sleeping, or if you just want one for sound. So a lot of parents always ask me if they need to get a bouncy chair for their baby. It's an extra place around the house that you can put your baby down. So if you have a bouncy chair and you just want to make a cup of tea, it's somewhere you can put them. Also, a little secret tip here, but babies can every now and again become quite constipated, and bouncy chairs are amazing for sorting that out without going into too much detail. When you're considering buying a bouncy chair, there's lots of things to think about because obviously there are lots of different types. You can get ones that you literally have to bounce yourself, you can get electric ones that bounce for you, you can get ones that sway. There is a huge market of bouncy chairs out there. So if you want any specific advice on what might suit you, please drop me a DM on Instagram. I'm Mummy Concierge HQ and I can recommend some brands for you. But more of a boring baby essential, I'm afraid. But make sure when you're ordering all of the sheets for your cot, make sure you order a waterproof sheet. or a couple of waterproof sheets. Now, whether you like it or not, at some stage in the middle of the night, your baby's nappy will leak. Or they will have some massive poo explosion and suddenly you're there at 2 o'clock in the morning trying to sort everything out. Now, the last thing you want, if you don't have a waterproof sheet, what's going to happen is all of that wee and poo is going to seep through the sheet and go onto your nice baby mattress. And as we know, baby mattresses can cost quite a lot, so you do not want that to happen. By having a waterproof sheet, you're putting that protective layer to stop it going through to the mattress. So this is a really obvious one, but muslins. And oh my goodness, are you going to need a lot of muslins? Honestly, when you think you've bought enough muslins, go and buy 10 more. And the reason I say this is because muslins are so useful. What you want to do is make sure you have them all around the house. You have them by the baby changing table, you have them by the cot, you have them downstairs in the kitchen, put them in your nappy bag, put them in your car. Why? Because muslins can be used for so many different things. You can swaddle your baby up in one, you can wipe away sick, you can lie them on one when you're going to change their nappy, they can snuggle up to it for comfort. So essentially, muslins are one of those things that you can never ever have too many. One of the questions that I'm always asked is what size muslins do you get? Because you can get huge ones like this, and then you can get much smaller ones. So I recommend getting the much smaller ones to put in places like your car and your nappy bag, and then get a couple of these big ones. Now, these big ones are great for kind of swaddling a baby. They're great if you're out and about and you need to change their nappy and maybe you don't like the changing area, it doesn't look very clean, so you can put a muslin down. They're also great as breastfeeding covers. If you get a big one, you can just put it over you like this, it's breathable and you can feed your baby. One of the things I'd also say, there are a lot of muslins now that are made of bamboo, and they are just so soft. So definitely look into muslins. There are loads of beautiful brands out there, ones with some absolutely stunning designs. If you want any recommendations, then again, just drop me a DM and I can help you. But yes, you can never ever have too many muslin. If you're a breastfeeding mummy, then you really want to consider getting a great breastfeeding pillow, particularly when in the middle of the night you're having to go in and breastfeed your baby. You want something that's going to be really comfortable so you can get in a nice comfortable position for feeding. As we know, feeding can sometimes take a long time, so choosing the right breastfeeding pillow is really important. Now, one of the breastfeeding pillows that I recommend is BB Hug Me. This is a great breastfeeding fit pillow because you can actually use it throughout your pregnancy as well. You can cuddle up to it, it helps cradle your bump, but then it can be used as an absolutely fabulous breastfeeding pillow. I personally used Baby Move, which have a really beautiful kidney-shaped baby pillow. They come in really cool and stylish designs, which is why I liked it. They're also great for if you're kind of travelling to see the grandparents or something like that. They're small, so you can just throw them in the car. Now, a pram is going to be incredibly useful from day one, probably up until your little baby turns into a toddler, so up until about age 2 to 3. So you really want to invest a lot of time finding the right pram for you. Everyone has a different criteria when it comes to the choice of pram that they want. So you might find that you chat to your best friend and they say, oh, you've got to have this pram, it's amazing. And then you might talk to your mother and they might say, oh no, you need this sort of pram. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips of what to think about when choosing your pram. Now, number one, how much space do you have? Where do you live? Do you live in a flat with lots of stairs and therefore you need a pram that's light and easy to carry up? Are you going to be putting your pram into a car a lot? So do you need something that's light, something that's easy to fold? Are you thinking about having a second baby? Because if you are, you need to find a pram that can adapt when a second baby comes along. Do you live in the countryside or do you live in the city? Obviously, this will depend on what sort of size pram wheels you want. If you live in the countryside, for example, you're probably going to be going on long countryside walks, so you need quite a sturdy, big pram. So as you can see, choosing a pram can be a minefield. You also then have to think about, what do you want your pram to look like? You know, do you want something that looks stylish and sleek, or does that not really bother you? So, if you have a question about prams, please drop me a message and I can help sort it out. It is an absolute minefield, but I do know all of the best pram brands. I can talk to you, I can find out what your lifestyle's like, and recommend the ideal pram for you. There are so many other things that I haven't covered in this video that are just as important to think about and consider buying for your little one. So if you want some help and advice, then please check me out. I'm the Mummy Concierge. I've worked with lots of celebrities, I've worked with mummies all over the world, and I'd really like to help you. You can find my website on www.themummyconcierge.com, or you can find me on Instagram at Mummy Concierge HQ, and I'm also on Facebook at Mummy Concierge HQ. You know, if I can help you in any other way. Parenting can be very daunting, having a newborn can be very daunting, so I'm kind of here to help. I'm like your PA to parenthood, to make life that little bit easier. See you soon, bye.